Hello and welcome to today's podcast series. It's the Premium Achievers podcast series, and every Thursday we make it bright and glowing on this channel. And I'm still your host, Julius Afolabi, your premium business coach and your value improvement strategist. As you all know, that this podcast is designed specifically to enhance the professional knowledge and skill-based professional to be able to perform at their best at both identify, articulate, and monetize their experience, their expertise, and earn premium income, premium life, and change their level of income and whatever it is that they do to be at peak at whatever it is that you do. So I'm glad today is Friday and we are going to be making it a little bit hot in here. We all know very well that the beauty of the fruit is in the root, but between the root and the fruit is a distance and a combination and component of a lot of things, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, now is the time to do so. Please subscribe to this channel and follow us so that you can get premium tips for a premium life, premium business, premium relationship, and highly paid income for everything that you do, right? I can assure you, you're going to have a good time. And if you're going to stay with me till the end of this podcast, you'll be glad you did. Yes. And today, what's the subject that we are looking at in a very quick succession, or in a very quick, as quickly as possible? We'll be looking at the beauty and the bruises of love. The beauty and the bruises of love. A nice meal is many times a meal, or say a nice meal many times I've gone through a lot of bruises before it came out nice, right? But then ignorance is not a nice meal. It always ends with bruises of regrets and pain. And that's what we want to, as much as possible, avoid and prevent by this particular podcast. What are the red flags? What are the things that you should take note of? What are the excitements that must be carefully considered? What are the things that you should check before you think it is love and it is actually not love? How do you define love? What makes love real? And what are the red flags that you must consider if you are talking about love? And how does this affect your business? How does it affect your relationship with others? How does it impact on your achievement, your happiness, and your accomplishment? To a large extent, we all know that emotions are a powerful force. Emotion is such a powerful force. It functions in every area and aspect of life. We must understand this. So quickly, let's jump right in. Now, this is the way I want to start, right? Back in the year 2012, right? 3 years after I got married, I lost my job. Even though before then I had been an avid reader and a very conscientious learner. Sometimes some things will happen to you, some things you read or hear either as stories or watch in a movie may not come very real to you until you're probably in that shoe and probably talking to somebody who has been through the journey and they share their own experiences. Some people have a grandiose way of saying things differently in a way that strikes you. Who knows? This particular podcast might be the one or the game changer for you in what you're presently going through. So I don't know what you're struggling with. Maybe you're struggling to make a decision in your relationship, or your relationship is complicated and you're trying to find a headway. I want to assure you that by the time this podcast is coming to an end, you would have gotten one or two wits and wisdom that will enable you to discern which way to go, whether to forge ahead or to pause and question what your decision is before you jump right in. Understand very well that love is delicate. Love is delicate, and love is not all that you need in order for you to be happy. Right? That is the truth. Right? You need a lot of knowledge to be able to understand love and know the extent of your commitment that puts you at risk or at an advantage. So, let's go. Let's dig it right in. So, Jim Rohn was one man that I learned a lot from. He said something that struck me very powerfully, right? He said that when he was age 25, everything, he was behind his promises at all levels. And fortunately, this man came into his life. He said one of the best things that happened to him was meeting his mentor, Earl Shelf, right? And Earl Shelf taught him certain things. And unfortunately, Earl Shelf died 5 years later when he met him. And he had this to say, that the last 5 years of Earl Shelf's life were the beginning of his best years in life. It was the best 5 years of his beginning that he can ever remember. Wow, that's such a big one. And that goes to say something and establish something, that we all need a master mentor, a guide in every step and decision that we want to make, especially when it comes to love. So, good. So this means that what? You must listen very well, that you must understand that what? The future is arrogant. It does not care about what you did not do. It will simply report what you did not do by what you did. So it records only what you did, not what you did not do. Are we together? So this is why it's important that before you take a step, and the step that you are taking, you must be able to consciously measure and be able to anticipate the consequence of the decision that you are making, or the choice that you are making. What is the future value of the choice that you are making, of the options that you are considering? Now, that is what you need to do. Most of the time, we don't make decisions. Your choice is not as powerful as the options available to you, because it is the options available to you that gives value and life to your choice before you make a decision. So it's very important. So in our option analysis about whether to move on with this relationship, or whether it's a business relationship as well, I'm sure that there are underlying principles that you will garner from this podcast that are going to serve as guide for you, even in your business dealings, even in your acquaintances, even in your personal relationship with other people, even your relationship with money and the rest of them. So it's important. Now, there's something, while marriage is a very beautiful thing, right? It is how well you have thought and prepared and positioned that will determine whether you're going to have an interesting marriage or a depressing one, right? Right? Your dating, your courtship might look very, very glorious, very, very interesting, but then they are just a spy to what is ahead of you, right? What lies ahead is far bigger, more challenging, more tasking than what you have conquered. And what you're presently in might not be the perfect or an absolute picture of, or a base for making, or for spying, or for imagining that you're going to have a wonderful experience ahead of you. I am always amazed when I see a lot of excitement during the wedding. It's not bad, but then I'm much more concerned about the health, the wealth, and the the glory of the marriage, right? Good. So dating is very interesting. That's given, right? Good. So, like I said here, there are quite a number of ideologies surrounding relationships today that is really anti-objective. They are not objective, they are subjective, and quite a number of things and a lot of ideologies, borrowed ideologies, have crept into the relationship because of the series of things that have happened to other people. We are trying to prevent ourselves from becoming a victim like others have been. A lot of people have also made capital mistakes and errors in trying to do that. So it's important that you understand that your own journey, your own life is peculiar. You are separate, you are distinct, you are different from the other person. Like I say most of the time, comparison is the weakest measure of achievement, because you simply be running with another person's strategy, which might be contrary to your own race and your own design, right? So don't hurt yourself by comparing what has happened. It's good to take lessons from what has happened. Other people's wisdom, other people's mistakes should be a guide and a wisdom to prevent us from repeating and re-experiencing what their own regrets are. Very important. So it's important for you to understand that the several ideologies are not enough for you to make a decision. You've got to understand that you are peculiar, your relationship is peculiar, you are different from the person that you're probably dating, right? Or you're currently seeing. There's a need for you to come to a point of understanding exactly who you are, who he is, what his perspective are, what his upbringing, what his future orientation is. Now, to a large extent, this questioning and this observation and these inquiries are very, very necessary and critical. Why? Now, if you don't know exactly what you want, you may be doing what you don't want, and that could lead to different kinds of regrets for you, right? So you don't take chances, right? Rather, you position and prepare in a way that when the future happens, we are not surprised that it happened, and you are much more battle ready. You are much more equipped to be able to confront those issues, eventualities that may come your way. Now, knowledge helps you to build capacity, right? And understanding, self-awareness, vision, belief system, education, to a large extent, your worldview helps you to be able to balance your preparation, right? Now, one thing we need to understand, another thing that must be understood is this, right? You need to know there's some questions that you have to personalize if you're going to be able to stay above the bruises of love. A lot of people have allowed the beauty of what they said about love, or what the movies, the Netflix, the Nollywood, the Hollywood picture and perspective description of what love is. They have beautified love and created and indoctrinated some people in a manner that destroyed actually what they experienced it. Rather than building them, it gave them bruises. So it's important for you to understand how to be able to avoid and prevent the bruises of love, reduce, mitigate. There will be bruises. The bruises can come in the form of sacrifice, and the bruises can come from the angle of ignorance. Now, the bruises of ignorance is pain and regret, right? They are badges of pain, right? Like you have the bruises, the bruises that come from the angle of sacrifice. They are badges of honor. This is what I have to sacrifice in order for me to be able to put value on my commitment in this particular journey, right? So five basic questions you need to ask yourself. Number one question is, do you know yourself enough? And have you found and figured out your life? The moment you have not understood yourself enough, you are already a complete. So you see, have been married for about 13 years, and I can proudly tell you that I can tell you with without mincing words that that sincerely the microwave thinking will not help anyone. Yeah, so this is the fact. In my 13 years of marriage, despite all my preparations and everything, I read quite a number of books, attended a lot of seminars, approached a lot of people for counsel, looked back at my own family history and background and everything like that. Now, there are things that I saw in my own upbringing, my family, with my parents, that I didn't want to repeat themselves in my own life, right? And there are quite a number of things that I also saw around that I didn't want to be part of my own experience or story. And that's the reason why I tend to be passionate about letting those who are basking currently in the euphoria of emotions to be cautious and careful about what they are actually asking for or what they are bargaining for, right? They should become conscious of what the journey that they're about to embark upon, right? They should be more conscious about the journey they are about to embark upon, right? This is the reason why I feel, and I've seen quite a number. The thing about relationship and marriage is that the principles are universal, but then how we interpret and understand the fundamentals and adapt them to our own uniqueness or our spouse's uniqueness matters a whole lot, because we are peculiar people and we are unique in our own way. And then the person that you are currently dating or currently seeing is a different person. The person's makeup, perspective, and worldview is different. The person's orientation about the past, the present, and the future might be totally different from yours. So, and if you're going to take a journey into marriage together, there are certain things that you cannot compromise. And this is the reason why I normally advise that you do some personal questioning. You need to be self-aware so that today's microwave thinking and breakfast ideologies don't become part of your own story, right? It's important for you to be able to settle that. If you're able to settle that to a large extent, you can live happily and peacefully and enjoy your relationship that you might decide whether you want that experience to be for life. But the truth is that I can tell you that no matter what you know about a person, during courtship, during dating, no matter how exciting and how brilliant and how interesting that is, I can tell you for sure that it's not a full rehearsal. It's not a complete rehearsal of what marriage looks like. That's the sincere truth. I've seen this misunderstanding, these little omissions before marriage destroy the happiness and the joy that should flow in marriage, right? It has no respect for your status, your wealth, or anything. To a large extent, there are a lot of people that are wealthy, but they are miserable. They are miserable at home. There are a lot of people who are experts at work, but failures at home. There are a lot of people that are good, very talented professionals at work, but bad parents, right? No, there are a lot of ladies also that are beautiful, but they are bankrupt with character. So this is the reason why you need to understand yourself, and you have to know who you are in a relationship. You must understand yourself. and then you must know who you are in a relationship with or who you intend to get married to. The person you're getting married to is not just the physical person that you're seeing. We'll come to the 4 aspects and dimensions that you cannot ignore. They are inevitable consideration for the fitness and the joy of your relationship and marriage. So I'll say that these 5 questions, these 5 personal questions, could be a way of rethinking who you are, understanding your format, and know who you can blend with. It's just like a personality questioning, like we have personality tests that will determine and qualify whether you are fit for that particular job or not, and can also recommend what you're fit for, right? And that's the reason why God said, I will make a helpmeet for him. That is a help that can meet his weaknesses, that can support his strengths, that can build her up, that can cultivate her. So the man can cultivate the woman can support him to meet whatever the person is designed for. So to a large extent, the boardroom and the bedroom share the same amount of power. So, and they are interconnected, kind of. The state of your mind can determine the level of your productivity, creativity, and productivity at work. So at the same time, your emotional balance can determine how you relate with customers and how you close your transactions. So the matter of the beauty, to be able to enjoy the beauty of love and mitigate and avoid, live above the bruises of love, you've got to ask yourself these personal questions. And what are these personal questions that I'm talking about? Number 1 is, do I know myself enough? Have I figured out what my life is about in the first place? Have I figured out what my life is about in the first place? Very important. And secondly, what kind of future do I want? Right? What kind of future do I want? Very important. Number 3 is, how future-proof am I in terms of my education? What is my vision? What do I intend to pursue? What are the standards that I've set for myself? Number 4 is, how much have you learned? Right? Like I said, emotion to a large extent can make you ignorant, irrespective and regardless of your degree and education. Right? Emotions sway judgment. So, and you will be judged by the decisions that you make. So to a large extent, emotion can make an educated person an ignorant person, an ignoramus, right? And that's why you find even lawyers that are clean, with due respect to those in the legal profession. I'm just citing an instance here now, that they are called learned people, right? You find a lot of them have marital crisis. So this crisis are blind, right? The crisis, the relationship crisis, emotional crisis are blind, just like the law is blind, right? They are blind to your status, to your wealth, to everything. You need a measure of knowledge. You need a revelation. Apart from education, you need salvation, you need revelation, you need education, right? Knowledge is important. You can't manage another person who has grown and developed and formed a character or a standard or a habit or a routine or a pattern for himself for probably past 20 years, and you want to remold or live with that person, and you are also coming from that another kind of dimension. So what have you learned? How prepared are you? How future proof are you? Right? So your own self-confidence to a large extent will determine what you will negotiate, what you will settle for, what you will accommodate, what you will tolerate. You understand? To a large. So how much have you learned? Number 5 question is, what is your comprehensive perspective about the demands of marriage? Right? It's very important. Some years ago, my kid sister wanted to get married, and she wanted to get married to somebody in that is a clergy. So I told her, well, given my knowledge and my understanding about this particular ministry and what their modalities, their mode of work is and all that, I'll counsel you to meet in that same ministry where the person you are considering is, I'd like you to meet 5 pastor's wife in that same ministry and meet them sincerely, prayerfully, and ask them what the demands, what the journey has been, because you want to take this journey and you want them to sincerely counsel you. Now, from their counsel, you're going to learn a lot of things. Make it between 3 to 5 persons. Now, understand that their own experience is peculiar to them, but they are also going to let you know how they weather the storm because of the peculiarity of the ministry, right? If you are on a job that you have to be mobile, right? Your job involves a lot of mobility and you have to move with your family. Now, how did they cope with moving, having to unplug their children from the same school, going to another environment, different kinds of environment? How did they live? How did they survive and all that? So you need to equip yourself with all that so that you are not surprised when those things begin to happen, right? So how comprehensively prepared are you? What is your comprehensive perspective about marriage and its demands, right? Marriage is an institution, a completely different institution of its own, right? And I can tell you for free that there are 4 principal areas that I won't want you to trivialize or to underprice, right? And these 4 aspects are: number 1, what's your spiritual preparation? What is your preparation emotionally? What's your preparation physically? What's your preparation financially? A young man walked up to me some years back and said, "Sir, I want to get married, but I don't want to put pressure on faith. Right? I want to be financially stable before I embark on marriage." I said, that is critical, because finances, right? Poor finances or inadequate finances have finalized a lot of marriage. Money is very important in marriage. I'd like you to understand very well, like I said, your spiritual preparation, your emotional preparation, your physical preparation, and your financial preparation. To a large extent, there are a lot of certainties ahead, a lot of uncertainties ahead of you. We don't pray for evil things to happen or negative things to happen, but then you have to prepare yourself. I can tell you for free that you're going to need more prayers to be able to succeed together as couples than as friends or as people dating, as boyfriend and girlfriend, right? The level of commitment is higher in marriage than it were when you were dating. That's the sincere truth. And there has to be synergy of strength for you to be able to succeed together. It's called agreement. So you need more prayers, right? You need to agree on many things if the two of you are going to succeed as good couples, right? If you are going to be happy as well. If you don't want to have the bruises of love, if you want to enjoy the beauty of love, you will need to understand that there will be times when you pray. The truth is that a lot of things have happened in time past to people. You find a couple just get married, everything was rosy and fine and glistering when they were dating, but like a couple of months, a couple of years into the marriage, a lot of things happen. You must understand that the future contains both opportunities and a lot of challenges as well, right? There are going to be a lot of challenges ahead of you. So this is the reason why you need to question, you need to look and check and critically analyze and assess the person that you are embarking on this, journey together with, right? Like marriage is a lifetime journey. If it is good and smooth, it's a good journey, right? It's an interesting journey. But if it is sour, right? If it is bitter, that's why you find the untimely death happen. The untimely death of a union that first profess themselves together as love. That's why I'm saying you must be emotionally prepared as well. How emotionally prepared are you? What is the level of temptation, seduction that you have outgrown? What's your level of discipline? What is your personality? What is your type? What is your emotional structure? Right? What are your emotional languages? Do you understand? You need to know what you need in order for you to be able to demand. And of course, you must also know how to communicate what you need, when you need it, and how you need it. Do you understand? Good. So, and again, you need to be financially prepared as well, I can tell you the truth, love and poverty don't swim together. It's like swimming with the shark, right? So you need to be financially capable and stable to be able to maintain your home. There are basic necessities that you can't give excuses for. As a young man, you could live your life when you are on your own. You could live your life on your terms. But when you have another person on board with you, that you're living together, that you're responsible, marriage makes you responsible, committed, and obligated to your spouse. That's the sincere truth. So you can't afford to make decisions haphazardly, right? You have to make decisions with clarity of thinking, with agreements, with calculations, right? So there are a lot of things. As a young guy, you can get back from work, make something for yourself, and go to bed. What about the other person? When you're married, it's different. Now, when you now have children, when you begin to have kids, it's a different ballgame entirely. A lot of marriages suffer in the first 5 years. Now, I think there's going to be an episode on how to navigate the first 5 years in marriage, because a lot of things happen. The kids will come in, and then you find attention scarcity. Now, how do you cushion attention scarcity? How do you balance, raising the baby together? How do you manage all the demands, the domestic demands, and then the business demands, the career demands, and all that when the kids come in? The school they will have to go to, how to care for them, how to include them, how to nurse them, how to bring them up together. It's a completely different script. So you've got to constantly upgrade and update yourself if you're going to stay sane, happy, and flourishing. So your financial stability is very important. Actually, also, your physical preparation is also important. A lot of people look beautiful before marriage. As soon as they get married, they become careless about themselves, because quite a number of things are on their mind. They have a lot of things that they want to get done. So they no longer take care of themselves as they ought to. So it's important for you to understand that you don't suspend your self-care, right? And self-fitness, because you need health and fitness for you to be able to enjoy one another and have a blissful marriage. So, and I can also say that, like I said, I already mentioned that love, you need financial stability, physical fitness, you need spiritual maturity, you need emotional balance, right, to be able to manage quite a number of things. Now, the truth is that you also need to be psychologically balanced as well. You understand? You need to be mentally sound. You need it, right? Because you have to make a lot of decisions, right? Sometimes your suggestions could be the breakthrough decision that your spouse needs. So this is why we need a fusion of mind. So before you get married, you must be able to really check these 4 categories and see where you fit in and score yourself, right? Score yourself and know exactly what. So like I said, love is not a risk, but ignorance and miseducation can make love very risky. And that's where the bruises come in. And that's why I'm saying that it's important for you to future-proof yourself before you make that decision, right? You must be whole as an individual before you can be joined to another person. So it's important. So like I said, knowledge is a more powerful force in marriage than mere love, right? We have seen 2 people who love each other but don't understand each other. And that's a difficult place to navigate, right? Very, very difficult to navigate. I can tell you for free. So it's also important for you to also question the risk of the journey. Now, you need to ask yourself, do I have the capacity to manage what is ahead of this person? I got married. 3 years after I got married, I lost my job, right? I didn't anticipate that. I didn't plan that. My wife didn't plan that. I was working in the bank, and I was doing very, very well, right? Very, very well, right? Now, I was not wasteful. I was not anything, but then navigating that particular experience was something else. You needed, in fact, I lost my job 10 days after my second baby came. So the baby had just been named. My mom was here to take care of the baby, as the African tradition requires. Do you understand? And to break the news to my mom was something else. So I just came back in that afternoon and called my wife in and told her what has happened and tell her. So we have to keep this as a secret between us, right? As a secret between the two of us. Don't let it appear to my mom, because my dad was late and she was the only person I have, and I wouldn't want her to come down with any form of health complication for that reason. I was first, and I take care of quite a number of things in the family. So with that position, I can't come to break that kind of news to her while she's still with me. So for the time that she was staying with us, she will be staying with us while I lost my job. I wake up in the morning, I'll dress up like I'm going to work, and I have to go out. So with the understanding of my wife, so you can see that nobody planned for that, right? But we had to mature into that. Are we together? So good. So you see it now. So do I have the capacity to manage what is ahead of him, what is ahead of her, right? Does he have the capacity to handle what is ahead of me? You get some people get married and then there's delay in childbearing. There is a health challenge, right? There are crises. The unfortunate, life happens, right? So you see, you didn't plan for that, but when it happened, how do you have the capacity? Do you have, what's the level of endurance that you have to carry such kind of burden, right? That you didn't bargain for. Some people as couples have waited to have their own babies for 19, 15 years. You think that was part of the script when they were dating? No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. It wasn't at all. So briefly, as we begin to round up, would that person be able to handle your accomplishment? Would he be able to handle my accomplishment and my attainments? Will the person be able to handle your accomplishment and attainments? There are a lot of people, some people grew up in homes or have the ideology that a man has to be ahead of the woman. No, it's not always true. Why? What if let's take for instance now, there are female presidents. So what happened to their husband? Would you say because you are a husband and she's appointed as a minister, then she will not do that? That means her accomplishments and her achievements scare you. So is he the kind of person that would, when I was in courtship, I told my wife that I don't want to marry a full-time housewife. I want to marry somebody that is working so that the person can give me some support, right? Good. And I told her that she was working in the oil sector then, and I said, well, I want to promise you that no, to whatever extent you want to take your career to, I won't stand in your way. Right? That's true. And to test that particular promise in courtship, in marriage, a time came where our work needed her to stay at work up till past 10, 11. There was a day my wife came back from work 3 a.m. because she's a shipping supervisor, and the ship has to probably sail before she can leave or something. So if I had not known that when we were dating, I had to close from work to go and wait for her till around 11 o'clock. You understand? So that was already a learning, a preparation for me. So when we already have 3 kids and she's coming back at 3 a.m. that day, it just happened once anyway, that day, what would have happened? Do I have the capacity to have carried that? We already have three kids. Our marriage was over 12 years old then. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Right? So does he have the capacity to be able to do that? Will she be able to manage my success? Right? Some people, as soon as their spouse, their husband becomes a status or something, attains a particular status, they begin to misbehave because they are the wife of the governor, they are the wife of the minister, and then they lose it. They can't manage their husband's success. Are we together? So number 5 is, what surprises do you have capacity to handle, and what is the level of happiness that can keep you careful and not careless? Right? Do they have the capacity to manage disappointment? What level of surprise can you contain? Right? Shit happens. Right? What was going to happen? You walk away or you manage the situation together. So that's very important. So these are the things that you can know. And that's why I make it a fundamental that don't keep God out of your decision, your courtship, your marriage. He is the only person that has the full script of the future and knows your frame, so that he knows what is ahead of the person that you want to get married to, and he understands your need, your frame, your full capacity to manage the things that are ahead of the both of you that you are not aware of. So he's going to be the only rapid response that you will have when the chips are down. So you can't afford to keep God out of your marriage. It's just like the story of the wedding at Cana, Galilee. If they had not invited Jesus Christ to that marriage, what would have happened? The marriage would have ended in shame and lost its glory and color. But because the master mentor was there, he covered the shame. He removed shame from that home, from that marriage. What happened was that he turned their water into wine. The marriage became sweeter than expected in the face of inevitable, confronting, seemingly obvious, apparent challenge. Right? It came true for them. So God is going to be the only rapid response you will have in the event of eventuality. There are some things that will happen, your spouse will not even be there. So it's only God that is the only rapid response that you are going to have, if anything, when the chips are down. Are we together? So if, let's take for instance, there are issues I've seen, the woman went mental. The husband can't help her. The only thing he can go to is to go to God on her behalf. Right? At that particular point, she's not in the clear state of mind. So if he doesn't know God, he begins to run around. He might run into hands that will complicate issues. One of the things that we should pray against, or we should guard against, is for your company matters a lot. When you are in a fix and you have nobody to run to, it complicates and can damage issues, right? You'll now be wondering, why did you get married to this person? There are marriages like that it was love. Like those songs we sing when we were back in the university. It must have been love, but it's over now. That's why people come with the cliche, love is no longer blind. They used to say love is blind, love is no longer blind, right? If love is blind, marriage will open your eye. That's what they say. Do you understand? And that's just about what? Ensuring that you travel into the future before you get to the future. So by the time you get into the future, you are not surprised at what is happening there. And then when you have a support, a reliable support, right? A reliable support system, it also boosts your confidence in your journey, right? Just like when you have a spare tire. Are we together? So, of course, there's an extra confidence that you have a spare tire. If anything happens, you can change the tire. Now, when you don't have a spare tire, you have to tread with caution. Yeah, good. So you can see. So it's important for you. I said, don't mind those who tell you that those that didn't know God, they also had good marriages. Well, you are not them. And don't let that cliche or that ideology to sell you to an alternative that cannot sustain you. Right? Good. So that's that. So like I said, that the statistics of divorce or marriages that didn't work does not invalidate marriage. That's the truth. Yes, the statistics of divorce is growing because the level of ignorance is growing. The level of borrowed knowledge, the bankruptcy of understanding, knowledge. And most of the time, the core principles, the core fundamentals are not taught. Now, in the religious bodies, they only teach us the spiritual aspect. What about the other three? That's just 1/4 of the quadrant, right? And 1/4 is not success, right? No, it is inferred that when the spiritual aspect is fixed, all other side will fix itself. No, that's not true. That's not true. So there's the renewal of the mind. There's what knowledge does that changes character. There's a transformation that needs to happen, and it's not going to be instant. It's a continuous improvement. It's a daily deposit, right? And we never finish learning about one another. It's important. So, like I said, love is not emotion. Love is a commitment, and to a large extent, emotions are weak tools for committing love or for confirming love, right? Emotions are very weak tools. Now, the things that stand as your basis and pillars are those questions, right? Those personal questions, those reality questions, right? Those matters that are difficult to ignore. Those are the things that really determine. Like I said, in the book of 1 Corinthians, if you're a religious person, there are 13 definitions in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 that I have discovered. Now, if you go to Romans chapter 8 from verse 35, those are the weight of what determines what your love is worth. Right? You see, what is it that will separate us from the love of God? That means when you're talking about love, there are certain things that can separate people. Is it tragedy? Is it love? Is it oppression? Is it famine? Is it nakedness? So there's poverty. Some people can't stand poverty. The moment the guy goes broke, love is broken and there's heartbreak. Nothing messes up with the mind like poverty. It will subject and subdue. So in some aspects, it might subdue the person to doing the things that they never thought they were going to do. So it's important for you to be able to fix the 4 quadrants, ask these reality questions, and be able to travel into the future before you get there. And the only way you can travel into the future before you get there is to walk with the one that knows tomorrow that you don't know. Beautiful. So, and lastly, I want to know that if you are going to enjoy the beauty of love and live above the bruises of love, you have to understand that marriage is a commitment. Love is the value, putting value on the life, on your own life and the life of your spouse. And value is expressed when love is upheld. True love is upheld. I'm talking about agape love. I'm talking about obligation, right? You have your financial obligation, your physical obligation, your emotional obligations, your spiritual obligations are intact, are in alignment with the demands of the hour, the demands of your spouse, the demands of your family, the demands of your vision, the demands of your future. So, if you would take care to look at these things critically and understand that the cliche, what's obtainable out there, cannot sustain you, except you return back to the author of marriage and the author and the finisher of our faith, the one who sustains our going to bed and our waking up in the morning, who watches over our life. So you subscribe to his precepts, and you also learn from education, understanding the psychology, the thinking, the communication pattern, the upbringing, the worldview, the values, the standard of your spouse. You may not be able to position yourself to enjoy the journey you are about to embark upon. So love is expensive and ignorance can't buy it. Right? And I would like to tell you that money can't buy you love. It might buy you just lust, and that can get you lost. That is the truth. It can buy you lost, and that will get you lost. But money can't buy you love. Love is a commitment. Right? Love is a commitment. Love is a commitment. Let that sink into your head. Love is not emotion. Emotions are not love. They are weak tools to measure love or to confirm love. The basic things that will confirm love is what are the sacrifices, and that's what tells you that you are going to need 4 things. Let me say you need an ocean of patience. You are going to need a mountain of understanding. You are going to need a bank of tolerance and forgiveness. You need a lot of forgiveness, a lot of tolerance. You need a lot of understanding, and you're going to need a lot of passion, a lot of patience, right? And you must become a master at communication and understanding. Somebody talked about 5 love languages, right? That there is a higher version of that, right? You must know your spouse's love language. Yes, it's important for you to know their language, but they must understand themselves for them to be able to express themselves. It's not about spending time or attention, right? Spending time is not the same thing with the quality of time. The quality of time is in the attention in the time. You can be sitting down with somebody and not paying attention to the person. You are spending time with them, but there's no attention there, right? If it is gifts, it's not just any gift. You must know the kind of gift. For instance, I'm somebody that is given to reading. If you buy me a shirt, I might not consider it valuable like buying me a book. So you can buy me a shirt, it's a gift. But the way I value a book is not the way I value a shirt. So you can see, even though they are saying your love language is gift, there's the need for you to go further to understand what kind of gift. If it's your love language is touch, you must know when to touch, how to touch, where to touch. Very important. So it's beyond, there's more to talk about. So I think it has been an exhaustive time sharing with you. I don't know how this has been for you, and if you've really had a wonderful time, I can tell you, let me know what your questions. You can send me your email. You can subscribe to this channel to get more of this. This comes once in a while, but then they are meant to be able to stabilize us so that we can do what we need to do in our business, in our career, and in our finances. To a large extent, our emotional balance can determine how we perform at work and how we do in our businesses. So understanding this is critical and crucial to us, and that's why I thought to share with us the beauty and the bruises of love in relationship and in marriage. So, and if you'd like to know more on this subject, we have a class which is called the Relationship Sanity Masterclass. You can also learn more from the Relationship Sanity Masterclass. So, and if you'd like to know more about the Relationship Sanity Masterclass, just let us know. I'll be looking forward to your questions, and I'll be looking forward to what your comments are on this particular podcast. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click the notification button so that as soon as fresh value like this is coming up, you'll be the first person to be notified. Thank you, and God bless you.